first of all, let's talk about the Museum Access Consortium and tell us what your role is with that organization.
Sure. So the Museum Access Consortium is an organization that brings together people who work in cultural institutions with members of disability communities. So it could be disability advocates, people who have disabilities themselves, to work together to improve accessibility for people with disabilities at cultural institutions. And Museum Access Consortium focuses primarily on the New York metro area, but as you mentioned in your introduction, our impact has become broader, especially in recent years. But my role at the Museum Access Consortium, I've been on the steering committee as a volunteer for about 7 years, and was recently co-chair of the organization, and have also led a 4-year project that focuses specifically on developing best practices around improving accommodations for visitors on the autism spectrum.
And you guys just recently had an event, which was part of the reason that I found out about it, and I found out about you. Tell us a little bit about the event that you guys had, because I just think it's remarkable.
Sure. So one of the things that the Museum Access Consortium does, and does really well, is that we host professional development workshops. So we bring together all these communities that I referenced earlier. And on February 25th, we hosted a program called Enhancing Autism-Friendly Programs. And this was the 10th professional development workshop we've hosted in 4 years, and was really a culminating event for us, because we've been through the years inviting parents of children on the autism spectrum, adults who have autism, to come and meet with us and share their feedback about the experiences that they've been having, not just at museums, but also at the zoos, at libraries, at theater spaces all over New York. And so the event that we hosted a few weeks ago featured 10 different short presentations by representatives from cultural institutions speaking about specific areas of best practice. And as a result of that presentation, we documented it. It's now up on our website. So we do have an audio recording if any of your viewers would like to see that, as well as a slideshow presentation that helps to illustrate what the topics are that are being discussed by the panelists.
And so tell us where we would go to be able to watch and see that.
Sure. So the website is museumaccessconsortium.org.
Okay.
So museumaccessconsortium.org.
And it's really kind of amazing when you stop and think about it, because you were telling us yesterday, and I want you to share with our viewers some of the different things that people have found to be successful. And I think having that discussion amongst these different institutions where somebody can say, here's the issue that we discovered and we did something about it, here's what we did about it, I think that brings so much awareness to the other organizations who may never have realized before, oh, you know, we have that as well. So tell us some of the different accommodations that have been made with some of these institutions that have really been positive.
So I'd be happy to do so. So at the workshop the other day, we sort of broke it out into 3 different sections. The first section of presenters spoke about best practices in terms of just getting your toes wet and getting started, building capacity, training your staff. And what we find in that area, as with any good program, or undertaking for that matter, is that you need to do your homework. And some of the most successful programs have been born out of getting your staff outside of your institution's walls, out into the community. So going out into classrooms, the museum at Eldridge Street, which is a historic synagogue on the Lower East Side, we did a demonstration project with them, and their staff, they had some of their volunteer docents as well as their full-time staff go out to 6 different institutions, some of which were schools where they could meet with children on the autism spectrum, talk to the teachers. But then they also went to well-established programs that have a track record, like the Queens Museum has done autism programming for years and years, as has the Metropolitan Museum of Art and the MoMA. They have programs for people with developmental disabilities. So really learning from people that have been designing and developing these programs, and learning from the public and from parents. So building those relationships is key. And then finding the right partner for your particular institution. So, for example, right now, the Museum of Chinese in America here in New York, they are partnering up with a nonprofit organization that works with children on the autism spectrum and adults, but that also works with the Chinese speaking community. So you have to consider how to design a partnership where it's going to be kind of a dialogue and touch and go at the beginning, because what we find is that cultural institutions, sometimes practitioners need to reconsider how they design their programs. So maybe rather than focusing on content, the learning objectives might have something more to do with social skills development or life skills development. One example of that that's excellent is the New York Transit Museum, which is located in a historic subway station here in New York City. That is a place where you can experience trains from over time. They saw a growing population of people on the autism spectrum coming out to their institution and wanted to respond to this by offering opportunities to help families, both children and adults with developmental disabilities, learn independent travel skills and use their subway space for that. So they've partnered up with therapists who are involved in the development of these programs, and the Office of Travel Training, which is based at District 75, which is the New York City Public Schools, that teaches independent travel to young people. So these are the types of considerations where you might, at first glance, think about how cultural institutions can accommodate needs, and not necessarily, as a member of the public, realize that there are representatives within these institutions that are thinking about how they can play a role in life skills and social skills development in their programs.
It's really a wonderful thing to realize. I always say to our viewers, while we're worrying about the fact that there aren't enough services, that there are brilliant minds such as yourself, Cindy, who are working on finding ways for our community to get more enjoyment out of life, more cultural experiences, and more education. So it is really a wonderful, warm fuzzy that you're giving all of us today by letting us know that this many people are working so hard to do something that makes so very much sense.